Just an update. We signed two players, fullback Shane Smith and tackle Chris Clark, to the roster. Any questions about today?
Not about today, but when you were looking to fill your special team staff openings, what made Rizzi and Galliano guys you wanted to pursue?
Well, the late Tony Sperano and I worked together in Dallas, and for 3 years, and he's someone that I would say I was very close with. Tony had coached and hired Darren at the college level, so I'd heard a lot of good things from Tony about him. And then, he was at Miami. I'd met him on a handful of occasions, and look, overall, I thought it was a good fit for us. His experience and his ability to teach. His teams have played well, so that's kind of how that really began.
The special teams units here, I mean, the specialists were really strong last year. The coverage units were really strong. So for those guys to step in, to have that kind of solid nucleus to work with.
Look, Mike did a tremendous job, and Brad and Kevin. Very quickly we ascended to become one of the better special teams units in the NFL, and you can look at, depending on how you want to look at it, but it played a key part in us winning 13 games a year ago, 14 then considering the playoff game. But there were a handful of games that went in our favor, and there was a play that we could point to in the kicking game that had a lot to do with it. So these guys come in again with the same mentality as teachers, looking to put our players in the best position, be aggressive and have enough things that we can do to take advantage of.
Sean, I know there's a little bit more work to do before the team goes to California, but how much do you look forward to, those interests, those two-team workouts, and you guys seem to get a lot of productive work in against the Chargers?
Well, Anthony and I worked together for 3 years. I feel like our last 2 times we've been with them have been real productive. Both teams are really wanting to get better. They understand that. It's good climate change this time of the year when you have that opportunity. So, and then you're working against a playoff team, one of the better teams in our league.
From an evaluation standpoint, can some of these joint practices be even more beneficial than a preseason game?
I think so. I think so. You might get more reps at something than you might not get in a game. You can essentially script out what you want to see and then who you want to see do it for your own team. And sometimes it's a little bit more difficult in the course of a game.
You mentioned yesterday that the team sort of hit a wall. How do you think they responded today?
I thought pretty good. I thought, again, we got 3 good team periods out here. We'll look at the film and make the corrections. We still need work at the end of the game, at the end of the half. That's what we're doing in that last drill. So we got to continue to work that.
Sean, what is it about Chris Clark that you like?
Well, look, he's experienced. He's someone that, has played. And, he's a guy that can come in right away without as much of a transition maybe as some others.
You're saying the line about Shane Smith?
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk a lot about Drew Brees' longevity and him playing the game for so long, but for maybe positions that are more physical, specifically like a Ted Ginn Jr. at receiver, what do they have to do to have that same longevity to be going into his 13th year?
Well, look, there's some good fortune relative to your, injury health. Obviously, there's a lot of training that goes involved in it. They got to be able to run and be in shape, especially at that position.
Sean, are you surprised that Ted's still able to run like he is at that age? So,
That's something that he was blessed with, and we have this term. We don't need to see it every day, but we still need to see it. And he's a smart player. He understands what we're trying to do from a scheme standpoint, and he's been a real good addition for us a few years back. So we're excited to have him back.
Sean, looking at Deontay Harris in the return game, he had a punt return. It was like 23 yards, but there was a penalty. How do y'all evaluate that when there's a penalty involved, even though he had a nice return?
Well, look, we pay attention to the return, and he gets a plus. I don't think overall in a game there's a negative impact with a penalty like that, and yet, he did some encouraging things.
How was Will Clapp throwing his second?
He's doing well. He's getting a lot of work. We got a couple guys nicked up, and so when you lose a few players, there's more reps than that you're getting. We cut a few reps out of the team periods today, but he's doing well.
Coach Gino Grissom is a guy who seems to be flashing with the second team defense, third team defense. What are you seeing out of him?
Well, he's sudden. He's got pretty good get off. I think he, along with a handful of those guys in that front, these next few weeks are going to be real important for him.
So why is
your relationship or friendship with Anthony Leonard?
Yeah, so Anthony and I were with the Cowboys together working as assistant coaches, and then we've always remained good friends. He's done a really good job there.
Why is intelligence something you kind of try to identify in a player when you're looking at him?
Well, generally speaking, the dumb players do dumb things during the course of the game, and the games aren't really long. The smart players, very seldom do dumb things, and so if you're looking at 11 or 12 series in a game, a dumb mistake might really erase one of them. You get a couple dumb mistakes, and all of a sudden you're down in a game, and the margin of error, I think, is just too close in our league.
Coach, I know you talked about it after the preseason game Friday, but can you speak on the separation issues that Little Jordan's having? Is that the only thing keeping him out of being a consistent receiver?
Well, no, listen, there's a lot for someone like him who's a rookie, but he's competing, and we've seen some things that we think he does very well. But I would say, and not to be or sound cliche, but he's a work in progress right now. He's got some skill sets that we value and we like. He made a few plays the other night, and with his body type, you're not necessarily going to always get the separation you might want, but he's going to give you a target area, away from the defender. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
To be here. But I wanted to come and just make sure that the people of Louisiana know that the state has been working very hard with the Saints as an organization, with the Louisiana Stadium and Exposition District, in order to move forward with extensive and needed renovations to the Superdome, so that facility, that venue, will remain competitive for many, many years to come. And so with that in mind, we've been working with the organization, with LACD, and the first piece to the puzzle that needs to come into place, and it should without something unforeseen happening, is Thursday morning. We're going to have a meeting in Baton Rouge at the Bond Commission, and we expect that they will approve the short-term financing of the renovations as it relates to the LACD. But there will be contributions from the Saints organization, from LACD, and from the state of Louisiana towards this $450 million renovation that we're planning, and this is going to create just a tremendous atmosphere for decades to come. For the fan experience, it will help us to make sure that we keep the Saints here for a long term. They're not just the best tenant for the Superdome, they're the best tenant for the state of Louisiana. And so we're working also on a long-term extension of the Saints, keeping them here another 15 years. And then with a framework in place for another 15 beyond that. So the goal is to have the Saints here for 30 more years, and we're excited about the opportunity to do that. We don't think there's a better place in the world for the Saints, and we're excited about what the Saints are doing for Louisiana, for New Orleans, also the Pelicans. There's an energy, there's an excitement around these organizations that, quite frankly, isn't just the best that we've ever seen here in New Orleans and Louisiana. It's among the best anywhere in the country. So I just wanted the people to know that the state of Louisiana, we're doing what we can, working with the Saints, with LACD, to make sure that this is something we can continue to enjoy and derive tremendous benefit from for a very long time to come. So with that, I'll take questions if you have any.
Governor, do you have any feel for how these renovations will proceed? How long will the dome need to be shut down? When might that occur?
Well, the dome will never be completely shut down, because there are certain commitments that they're going to honor, because there's certain events that take place at the Superdome at least annually, and they're going to work their schedule to make sure that they can continue to accommodate those events. But we're going to have more as it relates to the schedule. I think you're going to see all of this unfold over the next 3 years or so. But when we are successful Thursday, you're going to see the first contracts awarded, and work will start early next year. But again, making sure that certain things continue to happen in the Superdome throughout, not just the Saints, but obviously the Saints will be there, but other key obligations. Now, it may be true that we have fewer concerts and those sorts of things at the Superdome during the renovation period, but you're going to see the major attractions continue to take place at the Superdome over the 3 or 4 year period that these renovations are made.
Governor, how far along would you say lease agreement talks are? Is that the beginning, or that's
No, we're not at the beginning, and we're not at the end. But I feel very comfortable. If I didn't feel really comfortable that we're going to get to where I just said, I wouldn't be here today. We've still got some more work to do, and until they're final, they're not final, obviously, and so I'm limited in what I can say. But I feel really good that we're going to work this out. You know, the Saints have always been a good partner to the state of Louisiana. And working with the Louisiana Stadium and Exposition District under Kyle France, we've made sure that we've had communications throughout. I think we're in a really good place to push this over the goal line, to use that analogy, but we'll have more for you in a very short period of time.
Given sometimes how difficult things can be politically, do you expect people in other parts of the state to challenge this, or do you think this will be something that you've already kind of hammered out behind the scenes?
No, I expect it to be such a good deal for the state that everybody, regardless of where they live around the state of Louisiana, are going to be excited about it. And look, New Orleans is important to the state, and everybody knows that. And on occasion, you just have to make significant new investments, especially in something like a facility like the Superdome, where you need it to be competitive. And not just competitive from the aspect of the Saints, but every time we improve it, then you're more competitive when it relates to bowl games, when it relates to other functions that you can get there. But the fan experience is something that we're excited about too, and how we're going to really upgrade that fan experience at the Superdome. And you know, first of all, I guess I should have started by saying what a wonderful facility that has been for the state of Louisiana for a long time. You know, in the time period that we've had the Superdome, many other dome stadiums have been built and torn down, and we still have the Superdome. But the reason we've been able to make that happen is periodically we go in and we upgrade, we renovate, we make it more energy efficient, we make it where people with disabilities can experience game day and so forth. And so you just have to do this periodically. We think we're in a good place now to make that happen for the next renovation, and that we'll be able to keep the Saints here for a long, long time to come.
How excited would it be for part of your legacy to, you know, keep these teams secure, renovate these buildings as part of potentially a second term?
Yeah, you know, I don't focus on my legacy. I focus on doing what's right for the state of Louisiana, and that's what excites me. I intend to worry about my legacy about 4 years from now, not now, to be honest with you. But this is just the right thing to do for our state, and that's what excites me.
If I could just ask one more question, I apologize.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Not looking past the Superdome, would the New Orleans Arena, the Smoothie King Center, potentially also, once this deal is done, be looked at as an upgrade as well? In the future?
We haven't had those conversations, but you do know that just like for the Superdome, every arena of that type has to be upgraded periodically. And I don't know what that schedule is right now. It's not part of our present negotiations, and so I just don't want to get there. But clearly, at some point in the future, that's going to have to happen.
Is there any expected to happen next year?
Yeah, well, I'll let the LSED make that announcement in concert with SMG at the appropriate time. And a lot of that is already in the public domain. But what you're going to see is an effort to make more natural light available inside the Superdome. You're going to replace some areas that are not being well utilized right now with areas that will add to the fan experience. I think you're going to see some ground level end zone bunker type seating or standing, because I think most of the people stand when they go there. So you're going to see some of the features that have been incorporated in some of the latest stadiums added to the Superdome, because we know that's what fans all around the country and here in Louisiana expect.
Was there any discussion at all about building a new stadium?
No. Look, the Superdome is an iconic stadium. It has served the city and the state extremely well. How could you improve upon the location? It's in walking distance within tens of thousands of hotel rooms, and the parking is available there. So the idea that we would move the Superdome, you know, that never came into, or I shouldn't say move the Superdome, but create a new arena away from the current site of the Superdome. That never crossed our minds and has not been part of our discussion.
One last question.
You're a former quarterback. You met with Drew Brees a few minutes ago. Did you give him any tips?
I challenged him. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, I did not give him any tips other than I just told him that I'm a big fan. I may be his biggest fan. And it's not just his play on the field. He is a tremendous citizen, and he's involved himself in so many ways in the community, both here in New Orleans and around the state. Most recently, he decided that he would participate in an initiative to help veterans transition from military life to civilian life and to open and sustain and grow small businesses. And you're going to see that unfold in the next several days. And I appreciate the Saints organization because they have always been a pro-military, pro-veteran organization, and this is just the latest example of that. All right? Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Jordan guy.
Yeah. Seem like good people.
Yeah.
You hear that?
It's almost like the 38 Fahrenheit.
Ole Miss?
Look out now.
Howdy toddy. You know, I got all your boys down there, Slick, Shay, Mike.
You got your hands full.
Man, do I?
Dealing with them threes.
Yeah, I know it, bro. We go on the road, boy. It be rough on me, dog.
Dealing with them threes. You keep them straight.
Mario, how much are you looking forward to California? Just competing against a different player out there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think our time in LA last year was really helpful. It's a good group out there. I really like A-Lin, like what he's doing with the organization. A lot of great players out there. Look, a lot of cross work that we can do. It's always good when you can practice against somebody other than the same face, just to get another look, different type of tempo. And the weather's a little bit different out there too.
Do you think the starters look forward to these joint practices because of the extended reps and maybe the higher intensity than they do preseason games?
It's all work, you know. It's all work, you know. Just something that can get better, and it's different, you know. And it's, you know, you kind of work up in phases. You know, first it's work without pads, then it's work with pads, then it's going against somebody else, and everything kind of helps leading up to that week one, which is where you want to be in full stride. And so I think all of it is helpful, you know, so you just try to take it in stride.
Which one would you say is more beneficial, preseason games or high practices?
It's all beneficial. I wouldn't say it's just different. You want those live reps because in practice you know it's a practice rep. You're able to go back and watch the tape, get it corrected. In the game, you know, it's almost like when it happens, it is what it is. It's on tape now. You know, you can't get that rep back. So all of it is beneficial. You know, it's all needed. I think everybody in the league probably is like glad that they don't have a week one game tomorrow. You know, and so you just want to keep taking it in stride and get better every day.
Hey Mario, what kind of attitude have you seen out of Payton Ellis? He seems like a guy who's just kind of like bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to kind of get after it out there.
I think he comes from a good pedigree. Dad played in the league a long time, did really well, and you know you can tell it's in his genes. A good football player. You know, you get somebody like that that's just hungry to learn, that loves the game of football. The sky's really the limit for him. It's really on him at that point. You know how good he really can be. It'd be on him.
You said one of the lessons he's learned so far from you is to let football breathe and not just be all about it all the time, but like, you know, the time for family and everything like that. Why is that important for a young player like you?
It's probably most important for a young player to let the game breathe. You know, you come in and there's so much information. You know, you go to practice and you learn new stuff. Then you play another team, you learn even more. And there's so much information, but you know, your brain hasn't expanded enough to be able to take it all in because you haven't been around the game long enough. You know, and so you look at an 8th-year guy and want to go out and make the same type of play he makes. It's probably not going to be the same because he's seen that play 100 more times than you. And so being able after practice to go in, kind of let your brain breathe, get in the tub, shower, relax a little bit, call back home, talk to your people, and then come back to it. It's probably most important for a young guy because they'll go from the practice field, go watch the film, back to the practice field, back watch film. They're looking at their playbooks all night. Their mind never is trying to take in so much information, and it's kind of like mental overload, and they actually become a worse player than a better player. But if they let it breathe, that's when you see the young guys that do good.
Looking back at the last couple of days, like from a rest and recovery standpoint, how stressful was that the last couple of days just after a preseason game?
Our training camp's been hard, you know, and our practices have been intense, and you know, to go in the game, come back. But you know, it's training camp. It's supposed to be hard. It's the only way you're gonna get better. You know, you don't want the season to be hard. You want to go through the stresses in a time like now, so that the time the season get here is easier.
Even at 34 years old, how do you feel like Ted Ginn still can stress it?
That's unbelievable. I hope I can run like him when he's 34. When I'm 34, I'll be all right.
You don't see a drop off like in his ability to run and his speed, I guess.
You still see him getting behind people, don't you? So these guys, DBs ain't slow. So I mean, I'm not out there on that island to know exactly how fast he's running, but if he's getting behind defensive backs who run 4.3 and 4.4 and tell you how fast he's running, and at 34 years old, that's pretty incredible to me.
Briggs is someone else in the building, obviously, who's had to push the limit as far as players being able to play at a certain age. Like, do you ever go to Ted Ginn and just ask him what's in his regimen or how he's taking care of his body? Maybe some of it's luck and hereditary, I guess, but you ever kind of bounce ideas off of him or what's in the
No, you just watch guys like that. You always see them in the building. You know, you see them with their routines. You see how they eat. You kind of see guys like that. They're in the same place doing the same thing every day. And you just realize, you know, so much of this game and longevity is about having a good routine that works. And I think every player is different. Part of it may be genes. Part of it, a lot of it may be, you know, focus and discipline. And, you know, it's just a credit to them.
Good morning. When you look at your accomplishments, and what I mean by that, you only 4 times in Saints history. You look Ricky Jackson twice, Von Johnson, where he had at least 110 tackles and 5 sacks, and you did it also in a Jets uniform. Is that just kind of a measuring stick that, you know, you involved in the pass rush, getting 5 sacks and over that 100 mark in tackles?
I think it's, first of all, it's a blessing, you know, to be able to make it through, you know, have enough games to be able to get those stats, you know, and I mean, this game is 100% injury, so I count it as a blessing from God every time I'm able to make it through a full season. I think that's a big part of it. Then so much of it is coaches looking at your ability and putting you in position to be successful, and then trusting the scheme and being where you're supposed to be. And then I think playing with a unit like this that's really good on the offensive side of the ball puts us in a lot more third downs, where they throw the ball to the running backs on check downs more, so you get more tackles, and the third down you get more pressures, put them in longer situations. That opens it up and makes it easier, because in the Jets, the difference in the Jets was I did it in 100% of snaps, and here I did it on like 89% of the snaps. So you see like the difference is it's easier to do it on a team like this because of the makeup and the dynamics.
Near the end of the year, I mean, that difference in snap count, I think it was about 100 or so
Yeah.
between the Jets and here. I mean, could you feel that difference at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Getting into the playoffs, like I feel fresher. Than,
Yeah. And that's a good, like that's another tribute to the coaches. My coach kind of talked about that early on. He was like, listen, where you were before, you didn't have to prepare your body for postseason. Now you need to make sure that you're prepared to go in the postseason. So we're going to kind of try to protect you in that way. So that was helpful.
What do you like about the joint practices coming up, and then in particular, do you like anything about going against the Chargers? I'm
looking forward to the weather, that's for sure. And then they got some good players over there, some good tight ends and backs, so that should be some good cross work. Looking forward to that. Like A-Lin, great coach, love what he's doing with the organization. And we had great practices out there last year, very competitive, very professional practices, so I'm looking forward to it.
Tomorrow, how about Phillip Rivers going against a guy that's very similar to Drew Brees, obviously, with all his experience?
It's good work. That's kind of the best work. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the game. You're going to see it from the best. You know, chicks at the line of scrimmage, reading of the defense, understanding where to go with the ball. You know, you can't get a better look than that.
Right,
hey, thank you guys.
I'm excited about it. Something I've wished for longer than playing in the Super Bowl. So I get a chance to do both.
Were you in New Orleans when the call came, or where were you training?
I actually was. So my mom turned 60 Saturday, and we had threw her a big party.
Happy birthday!
Appreciate it. And then after that, you know, I got the call that morning preparing for the party, and it was like, you want to come in for a workout?
I was like, hey, I'm all for it. I'm already here. So it worked out good.
What have you been doing prior to that, just kind of getting ready for all that?
Been training up in Houston. I live in Houston. Been training down there, so I've been in the heat a little bit. Just trying to make sure I'm ready for. I actually had a couple teams call me, but I didn't want to. I kept faith that the Saints would call me. I actually honestly wanted to come here. Like I said, 3 teams called me, and I didn't want to go. So I just kept training and kept pushing and hoping that the call would come.
How much of a Saints fan were you growing up?
I'm always a Saints fan. So it was tough for me last year playing for the Panthers because I was a Saints fan. You know, so it's like, what do I do? I'm in a rock and a hard place. So I got hurt that game. So I didn't play. You know, so I was in a win-win situation with that.
You also did you get hurt or you got hurt?
There you go. Hey. But what you supposed to say? I'm sorry.
You also played for the Bucks too, right?
Yeah. Well, so originally when I first came out, I was playing for. I just did training camp with them. But they were one of the teams that called me to come in. They actually called me 2 or 3 times to come in and play with them. So just trying to get acclimated to this heat and you know, don't be sluggish and get back going. Humidity is real.
So Chris, what is your background? I believe McDonough 35.
Yes.
And how do you end up at Southern Miss? What was that?
So I pretty much had every school in Louisiana, and in high school I started both ways at tackle and defensive end, and you know, Southern Miss was the only school that told me they would let me play both ways. Yeah, so I believed it. So when I got down there, man, you know, I ended up playing tackle. I was like 235, so I gained 50 pounds in 1 year, and it worked out. So I'm grateful for it, and had a great group of guys down there at Southern Miss that took care of me and, you know, led by example.
Have you had a chance to talk to Cameron Tom yet?
I did, man.
Y'all didn't overlap at all?
No, we didn't. I missed him. Okay. Yeah, I missed him. So it's a good deal though, man. I'm way older than him.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it's like 10 years. But it's been a good deal, and this organization is great.
You talked to Coach Reese yet?
Appreciate it.
You talked to Coach Reese?
I did. So no one knows.
Okay.
No one knows. My wife and one of my good friends, Marcus Cummins, was out here today. So we ended up, he was like, why you didn't tell me? I said, nobody knows. So you the person knows. So it was cool, man.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right, congrats to you.
Appreciate
Awesome
it.
thing.
All right.
Be back out here, finishing a stretch, nice stretch from the game, and returning to the practice fields. It'd be good to get a day off tomorrow. Get the guys, get their legs back under them, and come back out and get ready for LA.
Okay, haven't watched the film of the game since we talked to you last. What did you see that you really liked about how you played, and what did you see you need to work on?
You know, for the most part, I think we did a great job of executing the pre-snap procedures. So whether it's calling in and out the right personnel, breaking the huddle with enough time on the play clock to whether it's make checks or make calls, and we had no false starts or anything like that. So the guys are locked in. That shows great discipline right there. Did a great job of just moving the ball, getting scoring drives. Of course, we would love more touchdowns and field goals, but everything was pretty smooth for the most part. Of course, there are always some areas that you have to improve in, and I think that's why we're here practicing.
Coach had mentioned yesterday it seemed like the team hit it well. How would you assess yesterday's practice compared to today?
Yeah, you know, it's camp. So there are going to be days that feel like camp days, and there are going to be days that you come out here and you feel fresh. So it's part of the game. But I know one thing, you have to continue to be mentally strong when you do hit that wall. And you have to know how to fight through and, you know, find something within that motivates you still. And I think that's what we've been able to do as a team. Guys continue to come to work every day. Like I said, of course, it's camp. Some guys may feel like, hey, man, you know, I'm hitting that wall, but somewhere, somehow, we find that willpower from deep within and continue to come out here and give it our all.
So would it be safe to say, like, compared to yesterday, there was more pep in the step from y'all today?
I wasn't really aware of yesterday, but I know today we came out with some energy, guys flying around, and that's exciting to see.
Teddy, when you look at the skilled people, practicing against the Chargers, you have to look forward to that. Going against different DBs and not the same, cornerbacks in the scheme and stuff.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Definitely competing against those guys for a couple of days and getting to playing the game against those guys. I'm pretty sure our guys are excited to go against a different color jersey as well. We've been battling each other and continue to make ourselves better as a team. And sometimes it's great to see where you stand next to your opponents. So being able to practice against LA for a couple of days will be pretty fun.
Teddy, the joint practices compared to the preseason games, do you approach one differently than the other? Is there one where you're like, I'm going to work on this in the practices, do it in the games, vice versa? How do you approach each one?
Well, you always, for me, I'll speak for myself, I always try to approach it with the same mindset. Like every rep has to be at game tempo, game speed. And I know that with these joint practices, though, you tend to see a little more than what you see in the actual game because, teams don't want to show too much in the preseason games. But it'll be fun just being able to go against different looks and, being able to see what those guys do well and see what areas we have to improve in and see what we do well against some of the things that they do well.
Teddy, when you're throwing to Ted Ginn, how much is he still a receiver? When you're throwing to him, he stresses your arm maybe a little bit more than other guys based on how he gets down the field.
When you throw on time and rhythm, it makes playing football much easier. And Ted's a guy, he understands quarterback progressions. He understands the drops that the quarterback is taking. So he does a great job of setting up routes to time up with our feet. So he is a guy who can fly, and you love to have that kind of guy in this offense. So you have to know that, hey, when you have a play called to Ted, you have to be ready to throw it.
Are you surprised he can still run that fast at his age?
Not at all. Ted, he's a guy who, he has that natural ability to just run. So.
As a quarterback, and you've played with some pretty good receivers in your career, but what do you look for in a receiver in their skill set that makes them a great at that question?
Yeah, for the most part, you want a guy who's a smart football player, who understands and who's able to adjust on the fly because as he's running routes, things are happening in front of him. The defense may be changing. There may be rotation with the safeties and things like that. So a smart football player is aware of those changes that are happening within the play and know how to be in the right place at the right time. So a guy who understands what the defense is doing, a guy who understands the quarterback's progression, those are special players.
A lot of that is like the technical stuff for players' skill set, but like how important is the chemistry and rapport between a quarterback and a wide receiver for him to take that next level to greatness?
Well, it's very important. You can't play the game if you don't have the chemistry. And that's why we have, different periods of the year where we get to work on building that chemistry and that timing, whether it's in the spring during OTAs or right now in training camp. So, thank you.
Thanks, Ted. Appreciate it.